So guys, let's start with that Blender has a little bit of an advantage over Zbrush because it's a little bit cheaper. Zbrush is around $900, 900 or $800, and Blender is free. So Blender is a little bit cheaper, and that's an advantage. Zbrush has an advantage that it supports a lot of polygons. Blender cannot support that many polygons. The other thing I want to say in the beginning, but first let me just delete those things, everything here, and just put just a sphere, go to the sculpting tab, and I will start sculpting slowly because I'm not very fast in Blender. So I will start sculpting slowly and we will see what will happen. The other thing I want to say is that Zbrush supports a lot of polygons, which is great, but Blender, by the way, is not bad. I mean, it doesn't support like more than 10 million polygons. Probably it will be difficult to work with 10 million polygons in Blender, but it's kind of alright. For stylized characters, for stuff like this, it could be fine. So I was working with Blender for a year now, but I never sculpted in Blender, like I never tried to sculpt really in Blender until the day before yesterday. So now for 3 days I have sculpted in Blender a little bit, and I just wanted to see how it is. And I may say that in the beginning it was hard, but at some point it became kind of very similar to Zbrush. It's, yeah, I know it's kind of hard to grasp this concept. And I will probably, my next video probably will be about how to sculpt in Zbrush, how to start exactly in Blender. Yeah, Zbrush, Blender, I just kind of mix them. But how to start sculpting in Blender, because there are some kind of issues, especially with the tablet, because I was using Blender for UV mapping, for some other hard surface stuff in the layout tab here, but I haven't used the sculpt tab, and I always used Blender with mouse, and now I'm trying to use Blender with tablet, and it's a little bit different, and the navigation is different, and it kind of, you have to get used to this. Also, the brushes that I use in Zbrush, they have their exact copies here, most of them, and it's great. But until I found them, until I kind of found the shortcuts and everything, it was a little bit hard for me. For example, now you can see I'm using mostly the standard brush, which here it's called draw brush, I think, and the grab, yeah, it's a draw brush, sculpt draw, and the grab brush. So those two brushes are my main brushes in ZBrush too. So yeah, we're using the same brushes here, which is great. The other brushes that I use, I will show you, are the damp standard brush in ZBrush, which here is called, this second brush here is draw sharp, it's called. And for this brush, by the way, what I want to do is change shortcut and press 1. I want it to be 1. And 2, I want it to be clay strips, but it's already done. So how to make a shortcut, I will tell that in the next video. But now just right click on the item you want to change the shortcut or make it, and just put a shortcut on, which is great. And maybe 3 will be this one, assign shortcut 3. Okay. So hopefully I didn't mess anything. But the idea here is that in the beginning it's very hard in any software. But if you know your anatomy, if you know your stuff, you will be okay in Blender as in ZBrush. It's not a problem at all. It's just a matter of software. So it just takes a few hours of practicing to kind of get it. And of course, I haven't found a nice video that explains step by step the process of starting sculpting in ZBrush with the tablet. And that's a problem. Maybe there is such video, but I haven't found it, so it's okay. But for me, I had to kind of teach myself, and I'm starting to kind of do it. So the brushes are working in a very similar way to ZBrush. there are some things that are not exactly the same. For example, Dynamesh in Zbrush is a very powerful tool, and it's very easy to use to make your polygons more consistent. Here you have to use, I use Remesh. Some people use Anatomical, but I don't use it. I use Remesh, and I just go manually here, change the value, and then Control R to apply it, or just press Remesh here. But idea is that this is a little bit more not so intuitive, not so fast as in Zbrush, especially for me, because I'm used in Zbrush. Of course, I'm used to working in Zbrush because I'm a Zbrush artist. Or no, I'm not a Zbrush artist, by the way. I'm a 3D artist, and I have to know, especially as I'm a teacher, and yeah, I have to know how things works. So yeah, masking is not as intuitive here as in Zbrush. In Zbrush, it's very easy and very nice to make masks. Here, you have to press M to go to the mask brush. In Zbrush, you just press Control and mask. And it's a little bit easier, but again, it just takes a little bit time to get used to it. So yeah, I will say it even now that Blender is good enough for sculpting. It's not a bad tool. It has even some advantages over Zbrush. For example, Zbrush is not a real 3D program. I know I will shock a lot of people, but it's kind of a 2.5D program. That's why it supports so much polygons in the viewport, because it doesn't really support them. It's a little bit kind of faking them. That's why the lighting in Zbrush is not realistic. The lighting in Zbrush is bad. And it's but in Blender, since it's a real 3D program and it has very nice renders, you can make a very nice lighting and it will be pretty cool. So that's how Blender is better in, and especially the price. But the sculpting itself, the process of sculpting is not that different. I mean, it took me just a few hours to get used to this, and to get used to mostly the bigger problem in the beginning was not the rotation, but the zoom in, zoom out, and pan, because I have to press a key combination and then with the tablet to do it. But most of the things are alright. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to do a female, yeah, it's not very visible, but I'm trying to do a female head, stylized, and it's not going very well, at least for now, but I hope I'll be able to do it. And as you can see, I'm using only my grab brush, which is the move brush, and my standard brush for now. I'm not using any other brushes yet. I will definitely use more, but for now, in the beginning stages, since I'm working super low, and this is one thing that you should very carefully open your eyes now and ears, open your ears and hear that you have to work very low in the beginning. You have to spend a lot of time in this stage where your model has not many polygons, because if you go up and you're not ready, you haven't still made your main forms, it will be very difficult to make them and to change. It's not impossible, of course, but it will make some problematic things happen. So my advice for every artist out there is to keep your polygons low, especially in the beginning. Of course, at some point you have to lift them up. You have to kind of work with more polygons, but in the beginning you have to work with a very, very low poly count. And I hear that from all kinds of tutors and online educators and stuff. People who are working with Zbrush, people who are sculptors, they always say you have to keep it low. When you are happy with your low thing, then you can go up. But for now, I keep it low and I just keep working. And by the way, some people will say, but isn't it a very slow process, this one? Keep it low and then go higher and then go higher. And some things you have to repeat. Some strokes, you have to repeat them a couple of times. Yeah, that's right, but it's faster this way. Because otherwise, you can get to a higher poly count and your model will look awful, and it will be very difficult to fix it in that stage of your model. So now I will try to make a mouth even with this poly count, which will be a challenge probably. And one other thing that I notice in ZBrush, when you have to kind of dig with the brush, because most of the brushes are adding or inflating. If you have to dig, you press Alt and start doing it. Here you press Control. That's a little bit of a funny difference, but it's the same. I mean, they work the same way. Here with Alt, here with Control, and in ZBrush with Alt. So it's kind of fine. I will pull them out or push it inward, and it's starting to look like a mouth, which is good, but it has a lot of work until it start to look good. So for now, 11 minutes into this video, I will try for this video to not be that long, because I will make another one where I will sculpt, maybe this time I will sculpt a male character, I'm not sure yet, but I will explain everything. I will explain the brushes I'm using, I will explain how I make the shortcuts, I will explain things that may happen like this, for example, for your menus to disappear. You see, my menus are gone. I don't have this menu here, I don't have the upper menu here, and it's wow, what happened? And these things I had to check in the internet. I had to go through all of this thing, but I will explain to you free of charge in my next video, and hopefully I will kind of touch most of the things. Well, let's concentrate on this character now. She doesn't look super cool for a couple of reasons. Her nose looks super huge and big, so we have to fix it, and I'm doing it with the normal brush, with the standard brush, as we say. It's not standard brush here, but I used to call it standard. It's draw brush here. And then from the side view we will do a little bit of chin back, because for the girl to look kind of nice, the lower lip has to go behind. So you see, we can do a very nice representation of a sculpt in here. We can sculpt, and I've seen people that are sculpting even whole characters with clothes, with hair, with everything here in ZBrush. And basically I think that here in Blender, since, by the way, I haven't tried it, but whatever I've seen, from what I've seen, it's better than ZBrush's hair. ZBrush doesn't have a good hair, but yeah, okay, ZBrush is the best program for sculpting, that's inevitable, but Blender is good enough for most tasks. So if you don't have torrents, for example, or if you don't want to buy ZBrush, but you want to have a licensed software, then you can go with Blender. You just need some little bit of time to get used to it, especially if you are new to sculpting. But what I advise you to do is to not start some big project or something. Just start practicing human skull, for example, and try to do it as fast as possible, and not in the beginning. In the beginning, take your time, because you need to get used to the interface, you need to get used to the brushes. You have to watch, of course, my next video. I will tell you how to do everything, and it will be kind of very useful, I think, in Blender for the people who wants to sculpt in Blender. So just go into the other video and stop watching this video anymore, because this is boring. This is starting to get pretty boring video. So yeah, but since for some people the other video will not be out yet because this one is new and the other one is not recorded yet, maybe you can stick around and I will kind of speak a little bit more about those things. So now the overall way of sculpting here, it's not very different, because I again try to stay low on poly count in the beginning. In ZBrush I do the same. I try to make the overall forms. I try to for everything to look kind of nice before I go to the next level. And of course going to the next level here means that we have to go here and just lower this value a little bit and then Control R. And when we go to the next level, it looks like this. I always do this. I always smooth. Yeah, there will be smoothing of some details and stuff, but I don't need them. Because the main forms are here and I just need those. And now you will see how easy the lips will came out. So for now it seems like she has some kind of a wet cloth here on her face, which seems a little bit odd. But if I do this and then this and then I do this, just sharpen some things, just refine some areas, just give them more detail, and everything should start to work. If it will, we'll see. But yeah, Blender, it has some kind of things, like some brushes are stronger than in ZBrush, but those things are very, very easily fixed because you have strength in here, you can change it, you can customize your brushes in a lot of ways, although I didn't. I work with the default brushes and I'm kind of okay. I can work with them and they are okay for me. So probably for you they will be okay too. Yeah, basically in some new software I would like to work with the default settings in a while just to see how it works. And then probably if I see it fit, I can customize them. But since I am in sculpting for a long time, I know what I need, so I can easily customize here. For example, the shortcut for the grab brush, which is the move brush here, is G, which is very convenient, so I use it, no problem. The shortcut from the standard brush is X, which is also very useful, I use it. But the shortcuts for some of the other brushes, even though they are a little bit more easy than the default shortcuts of the brushes in ZBrush, which are 3 keys combination, here is Shift Tab, you say Shift Tab, and then you see all the brushes here and they have their shortcuts. They have the shortcut of X, C, and 2 and all this. So, but first, for most brushes you have to press Shift Tab and then Shift Spacebar. Yeah, I had to put the program that shows my short keys on, but since this video is not about the technicalities, this video is about how I feel with Blender, since I'm a ZBrush artist and I'm used to work in ZBrush. It's not needed exactly. So I'm saying few things, but they're just to emphasize that it's not as different from ZBrush even. Yeah. So you don't have to be afraid of it. I was afraid of sculpting in Blender. I'd say, okay, if people are not sculpting in Blender, they are sculpting in ZBrush, still most of the artists are sculpting in ZBrush. So why are they not sculpting in Blender? Because Blender probably is the inferior program, and it's okay, yes, it is, but it's not that inferior. I mean, it's pretty good. And yeah, again, considering the price, ZBrush is a pretty good choice. Not ZBrush. Blender is a pretty good choice. Yeah, it will be difficult to follow my thought because first, I am not that fluent in Blender, and my thought process is get interrupted by searching for the brush's short keys because I don't have to, they're not embedded in my mind like in ZBrush. In ZBrush everything is, for me, is like super easy and fluent. I don't have to think about almost anything, which is very cool. Here, since I have like 10 or less hours of sculpting experience in Blender, it's a little bit more difficult for me. See, for the eyes, I made this kind of spheres, and I can put easily a sphere here, but I don't need that. I will not make kind of a sculpt for game or something. I will make more artistic sculpt. So the ears will be the eyes will be inside, and we will just sculpt them a little bit. And now I'm using the down standard brush, which here is not a down standard brush, it's draw sharp brush. And if you want to see how the brush is called, you can go here and you can see draw sharp, sculpt draw. It's very easy. Also here in this area. Easy, pretty easy. Why am I here? Why I'm so up? Let's go down a little bit. So this for 20 minutes, it's kind of nice. It's not super stylized. I meant it for it to be a little bit more stylized, but it's okay. I mean, I don't have any references now, so I'm just sculpting from my mind, which is good. For that, this is fine. We have to fix here a little bit this arch, and then the nose will go like this. And it's starting to look nice. Maybe the back part of the head is a little bit huge. And how we can work on it? Of course, we can zoom out and just adjust it with our big grab brush, which is the move brush in ZBrush. The idea here is that you have to first learn and get used to navigating the viewport. So zooming and panning and rotating is easy because with the tablet you just press Alt and rotate with the tablet. With the mouse it's a little bit different. Let me see how it's with the mouse. Yeah, with the mouse Alt and rotate. With the mouse middle button and Shift is for panning. With the tablet panning is Shift space, Shift Alt. Yeah, Shift Alt, and dragging with the tablet is panning. Not panning, but moving. So it's a little bit more, Control Alt is zoom in and out here. So it's a little bit different, but it's just takes a little bit of use to. So let's continue with the ear. Maybe we can get a little bit faster because we need to make also a hair. And I will show you just a little bit of how you can make other meshes in Blender, because you see most people are afraid to make other meshes. They just start with one mesh and try to do everything with this mesh. In Blender it's pretty easy to make other meshes. Of course you can always add a sphere or something, but if you don't need to add a sphere, you need to add hair. I will show you how to do it just a little bit. You have to wait a little bit or just go through the video forward and you will see how I'm doing it. But yeah, for a ZBrush artist like me, for more than 10 years, I have more than 10 years experience in ZBrush, Blender is great. Blender is really great, and you can really sculpt in Blender without any problems. You don't have to worry about that it's inferior program to ZBrush or something. No, for sculpting purposes, if you have your skills, it's kind of same. I mean, similar, not same, of course. I maybe still prefer ZBrush, but Blender is something new for me, something interesting. So yeah, expect more videos about Blender from me, and maybe a full course in the near future. But let me tell you a little secret. My newest course that I will start probably in these days. I was a little bit sick before, 1 week before, and I will start it these days. It will be about ZBrush again. It will be intermediate course about cartoon character creation in ZBrush. It will be nice. The character is pretty nice, what I've selected, and I think it will be pretty useful for many people. But when I'm doing cartoon characters or stylized characters, the main brush, or not the main brush, but the brush that I'm depending on very much is this brush, scrape brush here. It's called scrape brush, or scrape peaks, whatever. But it's in ZBrush is high polish brush. So I use this brush to just give the forms a little bit sharpness, more definition, and stuff like this. And now this girl is looking like a boy, like a man, maybe because of the huge jaw, or I'm not sure exactly why, but we can fix some things and she can start look a little bit better. Maybe the nose is a bit too wide, we can fix that. And there are a lot of things we can fix, but we don't have time. Yeah, if we have time, of course, I can spend like 2 hours refining it, refining the girl and making her better, but I don't have especially the time because I don't want to kind of make this video super long. I was planning to make it like an hour, but I think it could be shorter than that because I'm not talking super useful stuff yet now. Next video probably will be longer and we'll talk about more things. I just need to make her look a bit more kind of interesting and a bit better, because in the presentation image, you know, it has to look good. I will make her eyes bigger and more cat-like because I want her to look a little bit more stylized and animation style stuff. The nose, I will take it down. I don't like it too much. I mean, it's not super bad, but still needs a lot of work to become a decent piece of art, for example. Yeah. Sometimes this happens, especially in a program that you are not super well familiar with. This could be an issue. But since I'm working here, no, I cannot get the excuse that I'm working in this program for this long or this long. Since I'm a digital sculptor, I know my stuff, I know my craft, so whatever I do, it should be good in no matter the software. But the thing is that I'm slower here in Blender. Still, I'm slower than Zbrush. It's inevitable. So that's why it's a little bit. So let me put some eyebrows, just thick eyebrows. It's not bad to put thick eyebrows on a girl. If they look good, it's fine. There are a lot of super pretty girls with thick eyebrows. That's why it's not an issue for us to put thick eyebrows. Maybe the head is a little bit too huge again. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why she looks not as good as I want her to look. I like her to look better. Maybe I should make the mouth smaller. Yeah, a smaller mouth could be better. The chin a little bit. And we have to be careful in this area here to not make it like this. Because, yeah, it doesn't look very feminine. It should have some kind of a fat a bit in here, and it will look nicer, we may say. Okay, we have the cheekbones, they are pretty big. Alright. And yeah, maybe it's time for us to say goodbye. No, it's not. We will not say goodbye. We'll be here forever. By the way, I saw a girl who was streaming a Zbrush. I think her name was Ashley. And she's famous. I think she was in Zbrush Summit, like... yeah, people know her. But yeah, this live streaming, I think, is kind of difficult. It's not that it's difficult, but it's kind of works like a drug. So people can look on drugs when they're live streaming. I'm not live streaming, so I don't know exactly how it works. Although I'm teaching in an academy here in my country. So it's kind of like live streaming, and it's very it's very nice to talk to people in person. And many people, many of you are saying that I should do some live streams, and I will probably. Yeah, I probably will. But still, I have to find some time, and I have to find why to do them. I mean, yeah, they could be useful, I think. I hope. But I don't know why I should do them yet. They should be kind of making some sense. Yeah, from here I will push the chin a little bit back. Push this. Here it doesn't look also nice from the side view. And from the side view is very important. It's important from all views for your model to look good. It's not just one view and it's okay. No. Although we will use mostly the front and 3/4 view for this character, just to render her probably. But you need every view. And I will cough now. So it's okay. Yeah. You have to be aware of what's happening. And coughing is something these days is seems like very dangerous thing to do, you know. If you go to the supermarket and for example get a knife in your hand, you will not be considered as dangerous as the guy who is coughing. Yeah, the guy who is coughing will be like, ooh, this guy, very dangerous, let's stay away from him. Let's stay away of him, you know, like but if you take a knife out, people will say, okay, this guy wants to cut some salami or something. It's okay, no problem. It's fine. But coughing, no, don't do this ever. So yeah, let's say it's kind of nice. Let's work a little bit more on the eyes. Like this. Okay. But yeah, many of you will say that she looks fine. And they will be right. She looks fine, but it's... she's not good enough for me. I mean, not she, but her anatomy and her appearance needs to be better. I just need more work. And this shows you that you need to have what? You need to have something to watch for. I mean, I forgot the word. Reference. You need a reference. You need some reference image, otherwise you will get a little bit lost at some point, especially if you're not as experienced as me. Even I can get lost at some points, but since I'm a pretty experienced, the thing that I'm doing will be kind of okay. It's okay, it's fine. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. But if you are not as experienced, you need your always to use your references. But reference, what do I mean by reference in this case? Just an image, just something to work from. For example, let me show you an example of this. For example, this. You can just find an image that you like and start working and start trying to replicate this form. And yesterday I was trying to do this girl. It's pretty difficult. So, but it was a good exercise for me. And since I did like 2 or 3 similar portraits, we may say, now I felt ready that I can do it in camera without looking at some reference. But obviously I was wrong, so I'm sorry, and I will do probably harakiri later, live on, for example, on Facebook. Why not? Live on Facebook, harakiri is fine. But yeah, we'll see. So now let's say she's looking nice. Although the chin is not yet good, it has to be a little bit more defined. We have to have more definition on the chin, and also the chin should be higher. So let's make it higher here. It should have more definition. Yeah, the chin is a big issue here, and of course your issue could be the nose, your issue could be the mouth, your issue could be everything, which is in most cases is the case. But I will go to my mask brush and start making the hair. So I'm not super specialist, since I told you I'm sculpting here in Blender for 2 days now, or 3, I'm not sure. So I have less than 10 hours of experience. But yeah, mask extract, okay, and we wait. Yeah, in Zbrush things, in Zbrush you have to wait a little bit more for things. We apply this because it's kind of a modifier. It was kind of a modifier. Then we go to sculpt mode, Alt M to remove the mask, and then yeah, and don't think that I'm saying these things for you to understand what's happening here. No, I'm saying them just because I have to say something. But the idea here is that we will not do this. I mean, I will not teach you how to sculpt in ZBrush, in Blender. I will teach you in the next video. This video was just to show you how I feel with Blender for the time being, for the time that I have used it. And I've told you, I used it for less than 10 hours for sculpting with a tablet, and it feels kind of nice, it feels useful. I mean, you can definitely, I can recommend Blender for sculpting. It's absolutely normal, and I will definitely do videos about Blender. I will do definitely videos about sculpting in Blender, mostly, because the other things, you know, there are a lot of videos, but for sculpting particularly, there are some videos, of course. They are not exactly, I think, perfect, and they are not showing you especially how to start in the beginning with just few options to which options to click in the beginning, why, and how to kind of get it started. So if you are planning to get started with Blender for sculpting, you may wanna watch some videos, of course, and you can do it yourself, or you can just wait for my next video, which will be these days, so it's okay. And of course, if you're watching this a long time after I released this one, probably the other one is already out there, and you can go ahead and watch it right away, which will be your best bet. Let me just go to edit, lock objects, disable, and I will tell you why this is good thing to do, and some other shortcuts also. By the way, I'm planning to also release a shortcut list with the most used shortcuts, which I think will be great, because there is no such thing. I mean, for sculpting, the most used shortcuts for sculpting, maybe there is. I haven't checked, by the way. Most used shortcuts for sculpting in Blender. This could be a thing, or it could not be, who knows. But I definitely am planning to do it, as you can see, you see? So zooming, moving, rotating, brushes, unmask all, invert mask, masking, very important thing. Also hide show, the menus, some random stuff, and open the side menu to change your focal length, because in the beginning Blender has awful focal length, super big perspective, which is very bad for sculpting, especially portraits. For if you sculpt a whole character, it's kind of okay, but still it will be distorted, and in some points you will see it very distorted, and it will distort your perception of your character, which I think is not good. Yeah, it's probably not the best. So for 40 minutes we did this, and with speaking, which it's I'm not exactly perfectly fine with it, but we don't have anything else, so it's fine for us. And I will just do what? I will do few lights. So I will add a light. Everything, by the way, here in ZBrush is in Blender is with shortcuts. Everything we do is with shortcuts, and it's nice. I mean, I like it. It's a little bit kind of getting used to, but it's fine. So you see, I added light. Now I'm in render view, and this light is super low. So I'll go ahead and make it 200, and now it's better. And now I'll move it so it can lighten our face better. So in ZBrush you cannot do exactly that. I mean, it's very difficult in ZBrush to lighten your model well. Here it's pretty easy. You just do this. Then we can go to here and make it a little bit darker. It will be better. Then I can duplicate my light and put it in the back, so we can have some kind of a rim light probably. Why don't we? Yeah, some kind of rim light will be fine. And I can select it with GI, move it, and then I can even duplicate this one and make a fill light in here, which could be a little bit bigger, probably 1 meter, and it could be with very much lower density, like 30 for example. Yeah, you see, if I remove it, it's very dark. If I put it here a little bit, you see it started to have some effect on our model, although our model is not the best ever. Still, it looks kind of fine with all those things. With all the things, we can of course look at it like this. And of course, if you can make good materials and good lighting in Blender, you can do nice things. So, but I will just leave it as it is like now, because this view still the model is not finished, it's not very nice, so this view is not doing very good things for the model. Maybe if we move this light a little bit. Yeah, not yet, not good. Yeah, so let's leave this, and this will be for now. Hope you like this video. Of course, next video will be better about how to start sculpting in Blender. And yeah, thank you and goodbye for now.